Hello. So I just got back from my chemotherapy today. It might be my last one. So, my next step is surgery. And I believe this is actually my last scheduled chemotherapy. My CA 125 count is really low. I believe it's in the 60s. So that's down from 1,000 originally. So it's really good. And I was supposed to have surgery last week, and that had to be delayed because of my ear infection, which was extremely serious. And I couldn't go into surgery while I was on antibiotics. That's how you end up with MRSA infections and surgery wards and people going into shock and things like that. So that's understandable. And I had to leave early this morning, and there was solid traffic all the way from the town that I live in all the way to the cancer center. And it was just solid traffic for hours. And it was the same way coming back, except for the last like 8 miles. So it was horrendous. It absolutely was horrendous. But I've been feeling so out of it, I didn't care. And then when I got there, they forgot to get the doctor's signature to approve the chemo. So I sat there and watched TV with the thing in my arm. I'm not even gonna roll it up right now. They couldn't use the port. My port is ruined. And I'm gonna blame that on that guy that ran me off the road. I really am. It sounds like it was caused by trauma, which would have been a car accident. So I'm more and more convinced that because I didn't have problems with it until then. Um, so I had to have it in my arm right there. And my veins are not good, but it was a one-time only thing, so why not? My port is just absolutely not usable and everything. And I have to have an emergency surgery or imaging, or I don't know what it is. They sent me a message about it to find out what's going on with the port. So there was some really weird stuff that happened yesterday while the nurse was trying to clear the port. This ear, which is deaf, this was the one that had the infection. You could see like a little puffy thing. And I won't get graphic about what happened when I had the Hallison, but the infection cleared up in a matter of hours, like an hour or two. And I won't say how I know that. It was gone. But because the ear, the nose, and the throat are one big cavity, and it cleared out. But I have middle ear deafness. I have a condition called otosclerosis. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically a ticking time bomb that you're born with. And it kicks in when you're in your 20s, and then you go deaf suddenly. And that's what happened to me. And I was working in customer service as a case coordinator for Humana Health Insurance Company of Florida at the time. And I was taking calls, health insurance calls, where people call in. A lot of Medicare HMO people and also other HMO people. And they wanted to know why their health insurance claim was not paid. And I also got doctor's offices calling to find out why their claim was not processed. And it was my job to explain basically almost always that the nurse had to provide medical records. It was almost always the reason. And I got some pretty gory claims as well, including one that has affected my opinions about circumcision, and I will leave it at that. That was probably one of the goriest ones. I also had some that were victims of crime that emotionally impacted me. And I'm not at liberty to discuss that because of HIPAA. But I think I've actually kind of alluded to that in the past. So if you want to go through my videos, you might find me talking about that. That was it was a meaningful job, and I talked to a lot of people in that job. So it was very important that I was able to hear what people were saying to me. And I did not really have a choice, in the deaf community. It's kind of a thing, do you want to be part of the deaf community? Do you want to be part of the hearing community? And deafness does run in my family, and just kind of judging from how my family interacts with the community at large, I would say that we are part of the oralist tradition, which means that we interact with the hearing community, even though probably half of my father's family has some kind of hearing issues that affected us before we became middle-aged. And because once you hit your 50s, you probably will have some hearing issues. And that's normal at that age, and I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about being young. I was 27, and I went from having extremely sharp hearing to suddenly becoming deaf, just completely deaf. I couldn't hear anything. And my ex-boyfriend was like, "Why are you talking so loud?" And, I was like, "I can't hear you." And my boss at Humana, she was a sweet lady, she had a very big mouth and was very, very enunciated how she would speak. So that was helpful because I was like following her around and like looking at her mouth when she would speak, and that was helpful. So because an HMO does take a little while to approve all the little paperwork and everything, and it took about 6 months to get my surgery approved. I had to have a very special surgeon because it was not like today where that's a common surgery. There were 2 surgeons in Jacksonville, Florida, where I lived, that could do that surgery, and it was a very delicate surgery. And Dr. Liska performed my surgery. He is retired. He's very elderly now. I thought he was old when I had this surgery. I was not a middle-aged woman back then. I was young, I was in my 20s, and I was like, okay, they gave me the old man. I wanted the young man, but the old man's supposed to be good at it too. So he was actually younger than I am now. So for what that's worth. But he told me I will do one ear and see how that goes, and then in 1 year I will do the other ear. Well, a lot happened in that year, and I ended up moving to Washington, D.C., so I did not get the other ear done because of a lot of things and everything, and it never got done. And I got more active with the deaf community, was part of it, and I felt like kind of that is part of my identity, is being deafened. And I feel like, I languages, even though I speak several, is not my forte, including American Sign Language. I definitely could use some improvement. I know Signal, and I even have an American Sign Language nickname, and those who know what that means, and it it's I don't think I did that right, actually. I think it's uh, I'm not that good at American Sign Language, and I learned a few words. It's it's just I'm not very good at languages. I passed AP Spanish in high school, the AP exam, and I didn't score a high score on it. I passed it. I learned Dutch when I lived in the Netherlands in elementary school. I lived there for a year, and I also associated with the Dutch community when I lived in Israel in 2000 to 2003. I brushed up on my Dutch a lot more than my Hebrew. My Hebrew is terrible. My Dutch is, I talk like a 10-year-old. And that's, you know, you have this grown up sitting there in a conversation, and adults are having a conversation in another language, and then, I chime in, and, I'm talking like a 10-year-old while trying to say adult things with his speech of a 10-year-old is kind of pathetic. So, to say that I speak, 5 or 6 languages, it's true, but it's not exactly what you get the impression of. It's not that I can speak Oxford English and its equivalents in multiple languages. I'm fluent in Dutch. Yes, I can follow a conversation, but the way that I speak is not the King's Dutch. It definitely can use some improvement, and likewise in Spanish. When I started at my company selling health insurance, I was not certified to take Spanish calls, even though I passed the AP Spanish exam, and I did take Spanish calls for Humana. That was a different time when there were a lot less native Spanish speakers in the country. So even though I can read off a script in Spanish, when it starts getting into very complicated legal language, which being an insurance agent, I have a lot of legal training in that. I cannot do that in Spanish. That's getting way too complicated. And that's beyond my scope. So, and I would say Spanish is probably my best other language than English. We had to write journals and write essays and things like that. I took Latin in school. That's not a language that people speak, except for the Pope, who is in my thoughts right now. I hope he's able to make a full recovery. He's a very good person. Even though I'm not Catholic, I think he's a very kind person. I hope he's okay. Um, you know, so that's kind of where I'm at, like with ASL and the deafness and everything. So yesterday, nurse was trying to clear my port, and she was squirting fluids in there, and because I have middle ear deafness, whatever was going on, I could hear all of it in my deaf ear. I heard, and these weird noises like that right in my ear, and it was not a nice noise. It really was like if you've seen Lord of the Rings, it was like the Smeagol, kind of sounds he made, and it was to hear that inside your head, and that's coming from a thing that is here. Why am I hearing that here? That should not be connected to this. So that freaked me out, and they were trying to score some kind of, she compared it to Drano, which I really got freaked out about, but this is just very messed up, and so they didn't use it. So they just did the traditional, you can see it, needle in the arm to put the fluids in and everything, and they got a very late start on it, but it didn't take that long and everything. It only took about 3 hours, so I was out of there by about 3 o'clock, and then off I went into the heavy traffic. I don't know what is going on in Orlando. It is, the traffic was a nightmare, and the Uber cards were not reloaded. I went into Karen mode. I talked to the manager. I don't know what's going on with my social worker, but I talked to the manager. That the manager is taking care of the situation right now, and I'm getting a little more communication about what's going on with everything, but that program was actually canceled, and I gave a little shout out to the ACS for providing Uber rides, and they're not doing that anymore. So I want to be really clear, they are no longer providing compensation for these videos. So I only got $100 worth of Uber rides, and that was it. So this was a very scary ride home. I'm not really supposed to be having caffeine right after chemo, but I did. I had an energy drink, and I'm not going to say what brand it was, but it's not Fahrenheit, and it was an orange flavored drink, and but it might be something similar to Fahrenheit, and because a lot of them give me migraines, and that one doesn't, but I'm not being sponsored or anything, so I'm not going to say what it was. And I feel okay. I was very careful. I know there's a speed trap on a certain road, and I loved watching all those cars passing me, and I'm like, you don't want to do that. And the officer was right in front of me on a certain leg of the trip, and I had my cruise control on because I did not want to go over the speed limit this time. And there he was, and I recognized that car, and I was like, yeah, speed trap. So, all of that stuff is over with, and I'm super thirsty. But I can't believe what a difference the antibiotics make. I'm not coughing anymore. And I went through a brand new inhaler, and in that week, that inhaler went from 210 doses to about 140. So I used it a lot, and I think you can hear the difference in my lungs and everything. I'm not coughing anymore. So that helped a lot, and just killing all the bacteria and everything. And I think some of that was just really old stuff from 2009 in my lungs. It was very old. Um, because I did have swine flu in 2009, and that stuff never cleared out. So the flu is going around. I don't plan to socialize, much as I miss it. I would love to have visitors and everything, and that ain't gonna happen. So, if you have not had your flu vaccine, please go out and get it. Don't eat raw eggs. I am craving soft boiled eggs so much. I do have a Costco membership, so I could get eggs for cheap, but I could have gotten them today or yesterday, would have been better, but because I was right there getting gas, but um, I did not. And there's a reason I did not, is because eggs are not really the safest thing to eat. And I was just going around on YouTube yesterday and came across some disturbing videos, and I think I understand how cows got the bird flu. I didn't really understand the link until I came across those videos, and now I understand it. Cows are not vegan. And I will leave it at that. You use your imagination, and you can look up those videos. It's disturbing. Deers are not vegan either. Um, so if you eat meat, cook it thoroughly, or make sure it is cooked thoroughly before you eat it. And that's been something I've been extremely careful about. I don't eat anything that's not thoroughly cooked, even though I prefer my steak to be medium rare under normal circumstances. I love soft boiled eggs under normal circumstances. We have a pandemic going on. It's called avian flu. This is the thing that Bill Gates read about back like 10 years ago. He read a book about it, and this is why he was like he knew what was happening with the SARS-2 coronavirus, is because he read these preparations people were making for bird flu. I know about bird flu because I worked for the company that did the study, Marsh McLennan. I used to work for it. And they did a study on the impact it would have on the workplace, how it would spread, all these kind of things. This is something people knew about in 2006. And flu, I know personally, is very damaging. Even though I worked for that company, I let a friend talk me into not getting vaccinated for the flu. Me, with my asthma, I bought into that stupid crap back in 2008, 2009. I didn't get vaccinated for the flu. And I got it. I got the swine flu. And I have lung damage as a result of that. So I learned the hard way. And that's how I became an adamant proponent of getting vaccinated against things. I learned the hard way, just like a lot of people that ended up with coronavirus, in 2021, had to learn the hard way. I had to learn the hard way myself. I got pneumonia from the flu in 2009. So we have the flu going around again now. I'm immunocompromised because I've now been through 5 rounds of chemotherapy and my immune system is shot. And, I got very sick just from going to Publix a few weeks ago. I'm going to blame that one on Publix because there was somebody coughing, one of the staff members. I don't think it was Walmart. I think it was Publix. If you see the smoke, that's where the fire was. You know. So, so if you're lucky enough to still be healthy right now, take care of yourself and get vaccinated. And don't do what I did in 2009 and wait until you catch it. And whatever you do, for the love of God, do not put a heating pad on your lungs when you're sick. Never do that. That's how I got pneumonia. And my doctor yelled at me and everything back in 2009. That is how you turn the flu into pneumonia. Do not put a heating pad or hot water bottle on your lungs. That is the worst thing you can do. Do not do that. I cannot tell you how much better my lungs feel right now than they did even like 3 weeks ago. I have clear lungs, and it took 3 rounds of antibiotics and about a third of my inhaler, but I can breathe again, and I coughed up something, and it looked like it might have been an alveoli. I don't know. It was something that I shouldn't have coughed up, but after that I could breathe a lot better. And I know I had actual spherules. I don't know how to pronounce that, but it was damage in my lungs from the swine flu back in 2009. So being able to breathe again is an amazing feeling, and that's as much of an improvement as getting this yucky cancer goblin out of my system will be. And I mean, the amount that I feel better now from how I felt in October from the cancer, I feel even that much better times 2 with the lungs right now. It's something that I've always had, and it feels like it's gone. It's an amazing feeling and everything. And so, don't play around with the flu. I had to learn the hard way, and don't be one of those people. So, I'm waiting to find out what will happen with the port, which was not used this time because it's just broken, and I'm waiting to find out when they're going to schedule my surgery. And I know there's going to be a lot of bureaucracy where I work because they already gave me the time off. And then I'm sure that the scheduling girl will say, but we already gave you time off for it, even though I emailed her beforehand and said they did not approve me for the surgery. She's going to say, this is a duplicate request. You know how they are. So that's going to be lots of fun. Anyway, so I made it through chemotherapy, and that's a milestone. And I am really anemic right now. That's a concern of mine. That is a side effect that I have from chemotherapy. There are things that can be done to treat that. So they're probably going to be in touch with me about prescriptions, probably like iron syrup and I probably have to get more of that powder stuff. I ran out of it, so that's another thing. It's cheap on Amazon. It's probably cheap at Costco. It can get very expensive if you get it online from bodybuilders and things like that. So I'll see what happens on that. So this is kind of a big deal. I did not ring the bell because I am not cancer free yet, and I still have to get sliced open like a Thanksgiving turkey, and that's not something I'm looking forward to. But I am making good progress on it, so 60s is quite a bit better than 1,000, so can't really complain about that, and get your flu shot. Don't do what I did in 2009. So anyway, hope you have a wonderful day. And I have a lot of messages and stuff to catch up on Facebook, and I have not been on there in weeks. And I just got one from one of my friends. He was very freaked out. He upset. So I replied and everything, but I have been sick. I'm feeling better now, and I don't know whether they're going to have me do chemo again after the surgery. So as it stands, I'm done with chemo. I guess a lot of it has to do with what happens with the surgery and whether the surgery is successful, whether there are any mistakes that might happen during the surgery. I'm concerned, and how much of that tumor spread. And I have noticed something. I did a little experiment myself. I stopped taking my omeprazole, and I am not feeling any stomach pain. So I think the gallstones are gone. So that's a good thing. So we'll see. And anyway, this is turning into a really long video, but I guess I had a lot of stuff to talk about today. So I hope you have a good day, good night. And I haven't even taken off my sticker or anything yet. So take care of yourself. And bye-bye.